Make it plain.
Make it plain.
M.I.P.
With Masamela Matfumo.
Mark Thompson.
Make it plain.
Get woke.
God bless you. Get woke. Folks, MIP is now COVID-free, meaning free to all subscribers as we navigate this pandemic. We're thinking about everyone, and we've got to get through this together. So for a limited time, no fee to subscribe to Make It Plain on your favorite podcast app. Ladies and gentlemen, we are less than 100 days from the November election. And someone who just completed her run for Congress in Georgia, in the Georgia 7th, joins us now. But she hasn't stopped, even though her race is over. She's doing something else very positive she wants to tell us all about. Of course, she's, again, a former candidate, a progressive activist, former campaign staffer, the daughter of immigrants as well. We haven't talked in a while, but it's good to have her back here on Make It Plain. Nabilah Islam joins us now. Nabilah, how are you?
Good. Excited to be back. As you said, I just ran for Congress for 15 months, and even though we didn't get the results we were hoping for, I am trying to do something positive to give back to the progressive community and really help candidates cross that finish line as they run for office.
So tell us about that. We're talking about the progressive list. What is the progressive list, Nabilah?
So the progressive list, it's a PAC, and this is an organization that's going to focus on helping candidates from the very beginning. I believe that having that funding and in the early stages of your campaign is crucial to getting good staff, to establishing viability. What we've seen this cycle is a lot of organizations wait until a candidate catches fire, and sometimes it's pretty much too little too late. And I think it's so crucial that early dollars are fundamentally important. So we're going to help candidates, give them money, help them raise money, help them start up their campaigns with good professional staff from the very beginning, and then also help them with other organizations as well.
So as we get ready to I guess, head into November, in terms of the slate of progressive candidates that are still standing, it's a pretty sizable number still, isn't it?
We have some good candidates out there. Texas, Massachusetts are two ones that I can think of off the top of my head that still have general elections and primaries to come, and there's some strong progressives running in those states. And then people that have advanced to their general election as well, some progressive candidates, those people will need support as well. And so even though we're starting up in the middle of the general, we're planning on helping us select a few candidates during the general election, and by helping them with money and press and volunteers. And so we'll definitely be helping folks the next couple months.
AOC has kind of become the face of the current progressive movement. Congratulations. She endorsed you, didn't she?
Yeah, very honored to have her support.
Is she also supporting this PAC, the progressive list? Is she helping out with this?
I haven't not spoken to her about it yet, but she has her own PAC, Courage to Change PAC, and that's the one that she endorsed me through. So it was her PAC that endorsed me. And so I think that there's an ecosystem, right, and within the progressive community, and we need as many players as we can have that will support and uplift candidates. And so the progressive list will be working in conjunction with all these other organizations that are helping candidates. I just feel like we have a unique opportunity. What differentiates us is how we really are going to help these candidates from the very beginning, before they even announce that they're going to run for office, to really give them those tools to succeed. Yeah,
no, that's very important. So this is obviously this goes beyond November. This is to cultivate and support candidates even for next year and the next cycle too, right?
Oh, absolutely. Definitely. We are actually about to launch our on our website for people to, fill in whether or not they're thinking about, if they are thinking about running for office, what office that they're thinking about. And we're going to proactively reach out to people to see where they're running for office and seeing how we can help them before they even announce.
So let's say earlier in the campaign, we did still see tension between moderate Democrats and progressives. And we know there's overlap, but there's some tension. But now, correct me if I'm wrong, everybody seems to be unified against Donald Trump. I mean, is this probably the closest we've come to unity in some time between moderates and progressives?
I think so. I think we're definitely seeing unity between moderates and progressives. We just saw Biden come out with his plans for how he's going to address climate change. He's moved on that to the left. It sounds like he's listening to progressives and some of the things that we want to see in the upcoming White House with him as president and Donald Trump gone. But I feel like we are unified definitely against the president that we have now. However, I will say it's very important that this can't be another referendum on Trump. Like, we have to be talking about our issues and what we're fighting for, because when we don't set the agenda, we concede the agenda to the other party. So we definitely need to continue to still talk about the issues at hand that need big solutions.
Yeah. And you say not a referendum, just not reacting. We need to be proactive in terms of our issues. No, we need to start. That's one thing about our party. We always want to play defense. We need to play some offense, don't we?
Oh, absolutely. Definitely. I think what the problem is, either folks are complacent or they're afraid. And my thing is, we've elected you to be a leader, to put you in a position of power. You need to lead. You need to start speaking up for our communities, even if you feel like this might be a contentious issue for your reelection. We need changes now, and incrementalism is just it's not something that is sustainable. It's taking too long. I mean, people are hurting now, and we need to be addressing issues now.
Yeah. And, we can be honest, one of the other fears is the cynicism about young voters. People think that young voters aren't going to come out to vote. They tend to have the most progressive ideas. So folks want to play it safe with older voters. But that's changing too. We're seeing more people who are younger become more engaged. And it's kind of a chicken and egg thing. Some people who want to stay moderate say, well, we've got to appeal to older voters because young voters don't vote. Well, y'all ain't talking about nothing to inspire young voters to come out and vote. But hopefully that's beginning to change, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. Like, you need to give people a reason to vote. And if you want to inspire the younger generation, they need to know that you're actually talking about the issues that are affecting their generation. I feel like moderates some of them are waking up to that fact that we need to be more bold, that we need to be engaging the younger generation, because we're not going to win these races without young people. And I'm very proud of Gen Z. They're super engaged, whether they're using TikTok, which I still don't have an account for, or Instagram. They're just they're very engaged on social media in a way that I wasn't when I was their age. So I'm looking forward to all the work that they're going to produce. So I'm very excited about them.
Well, you and I definitely are not Gen Z if we don't have TikTok. But I love it. Nabilah, the night of the Tulsa rally, I think I stayed on Twitter all night watching the young kids just eat Donald Trump alive. It was the most beautiful thing. I mean, I was calling everybody. I said, you got to get on this and see this. I mean, it's amazing. And it shook him. He's not recovered since then. They don't have an answer for that. They do not have an answer for these young kids on TikTok. So no, that's a good thing. But Nabilah, let's do this because, I want my audience in particular to be clear on the issues that are most important to us as progressives and how we delineate from the same old, same old. So talk to us about, what are some of the issues that define a true progressive these days when it comes to running for office?
I would say, I mean, some of the biggest issues that I focused on myself during my campaign was healthcare, our climate crisis, student debt crisis that we have at hand, were some of the, and then the immigration crisis as well. I lived in my district is one of the most diverse districts in the country. And I was, from day one, I supported Medicare for all. I don't know how you don't support Medicare for all during a pandemic with millions of people have lost their insurance due to it being tied to employment. We have record unemployment right now. I think what makes a true progressive is someone that it speaks truth to power and advocates for issues or policies that will address the issues that we have right now. And another problem that I talked about on the campaign was the climate crisis. It's no longer climate change. We need big, bold solutions. And that's why I supported, a Green New Deal. I think it's imperative that we address such a large issue with bold ideas. I also talked about student debt cancellation and talking about how we need a one-time student debt cancellation because our generation, millennials, and are really suffering from the fact that they can't buy homes, they can't start families because we are bogged down with so much debt. And I feel like, that's something that would certainly not only stimulate the economy, but uplift our generation, most certainly. And also, while we're going through this pandemic, I think it's crucial that true progressives fight for working families, right? And we fight for them tooth and nail, making sure that, we need to be having monthly stimulus checks to families that are hurting right now. Working people are hurting, making sure that they have, health care. These are some of the things that seem super simple that you would think anyone would talk about. But for whatever reason, whether it's lack of courage or electability, people are not willing to speak about those issues in a strong, powerful way. So those are some of the things that I think are key indicators of what a true progressive would look like. But just someone that isn't afraid to speak up and will speak truth to power to what's happening to their communities and won't be afraid and will have the political courage to advocate for big, bold policies because that's the transformational change that we need, not incrementalism.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And you mentioned immigrants as well. I mean, that is becoming an even larger part of our population, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. I'm the daughter of immigrants. I grew up in a county that's the fourth most diverse county in the entire country. 20% of my district was born in a different country. And what we have right now is we need true comprehensive immigration reform. My county that I grew up in has has the highest number of deportations in the state and in the country as well, because of an archaic immigration policy called 287G. Only 2% of counties have them in the entire country. But basically, our sheriffs are deputized to just pick up people that they think are illegal and essentially, have ICE deport them. So we've separated so many families. People are afraid of law enforcement. For many reasons. And, we really need a pathway to citizenship for the 11 million undocumented people in this country. I grew up with many people that were undocumented, now are on DACA. And I'm really glad that, DACA is safer now. But we need a path to citizenship and really get people involved and engaged in the political process as well.
So wait a minute. The archaic policy in your county, and this is the same county in the 7th district, I presume, right? Okay. Only 2% of the counties have. So why is that surviving even in your county? Why is that still in effect?
Because Republicans have been, controlling all levels of power. And that has changed since 2016. We have become more blue. But we have a Republican sheriff who voluntarily in 2010 brought in this policy from ICE. Where he partnered up with ICE. It's called 287G, and which allows, as I mentioned, our local law enforcement to be deputized to do ICE's work. And because of this, we've seen a spike in people being arrested. Even if you're driving through Gwinnett County, you get arrested for like your taillight or something, and they look you up and you don't have documentation, they can put you in a holding cell and they will call ICE to pick you up and deport you. I've heard countless of stories, like heartbreaking stories of people losing siblings, mothers and fathers. A lot of people have grown up in mixed status families. You take out a parent, you know, everyone suffers. And so it's just been such a debilitating program to our community. And I'm actually happy because the part I'm happy about is this Republican sheriff is leaving, and we have some really great sheriff candidates who all pledged to end this program once they get elected in November. And I'm actually endorsed one of them, Curtis Clemens. But I think what we need is true leadership change, and it happens from the top when they implement these policies. But like, we can actually move and pick the candidates that will reflect our communities and work for us.
I know you didn't win your race, but did that issue increase in traction this time when you ran in terms of the voters in your race? Were people more attuned to that, aware of it, and more energized by it, the immigration issue and the deportation issue?
Oh, absolutely. You know, this has been going on for the last 10 years. And I think it's been going under the radar. But the thing is, like, when we started talking about it on my campaign in a really powerful way, and other activists as well, that this is an issue that we need to clearly end this policy. It's a bad policy. So it was something that we all talked about, you know, candidates up and down the ballot. And so, yes, it was an important point that people brought up constantly. And I believe in November, it will be very important for all of our candidates to talk about ending this program. And it's a galvanizing issue for sure.
The progressive list. So will this be candidates, just congressional candidates, or candidates up and down the ballot?
It will be candidates up and down the ballot. So
Good.
Federal, state, local. We want to help transformational candidates from the very beginning, make them into early front runners, help them finish that and cross that finish line. I feel like this cycle, I saw multiple candidates with that were just missed opportunities. Had there been an organization that had gotten in there early to teach them good habits, how to run a call time operation, how to raise money, how to you know, execute a good field program, and then also there are sharks out there that will take advantage of you, how to find good staff. I mean, it's so important that you start off on the right foot. And I just don't want to see, and I feel like an organization like this would have been super helpful to me. And you know, maybe that would have helped close that gap at the very end. I think it would have. And I want to be able to help, you know, the next Nabilah or the next Charles Booker or the next Morgan Harper with resources like that, so that they can cross the finish line and be a voice for their communities.
So some of this motivation comes from your personal experience being a candidate.
Absolutely. I think, you know, as you mentioned, I was a former staffer, so I understood, you know, campaigns a little bit more intimately. But it's a whole different experience when you're a candidate yourself. What I learned, and I did not realize this, was organizations and a lot of, let's say, people that can help you with resources, you know, money, come in later at the end. And so what ended up happening with me was we ended up sending out absentee ballots to voters in April. My election was in June 9th. So we were dropping ballots, and then people were, you know, I had a huge push and momentum, you know, at the end of May, but it was too little too late because people had already started to vote. You see what I'm saying? And so, like, I didn't have those resources. Also, it didn't help to be running during a pandemic. That was not helpful. And I think everyone has suffered because of this. But it was a situation that I did not predict. And but the thing is, we need to have those resources before voters are voting. So even though I had it while they were voting, you know, there were some missed opportunities to communicate with voters in a key way. You know, I've been running for 15 months, and so you need to have those resources at the very end when people get that ballot, and they'll know who Nabilah Islam was on the ballot. Because I tell people all the time, you know, there's this messaging where they say that progressives aren't electable, that moderates are the one that won back the House. Once we reach parity, because our candidates are interesting, our candidates are relatable, our candidates look like our districts, and the moment we reach parity, and like, we don't need the most money, because we, you know, honestly, like, Amy McGrath had $44 million compared to Charles Booker, who had less than $1 million. We don't need the most money because our message is so powerful and relates that what we need to do is, honest, our voters are just waiting to hear from us. And so if we can just run a paid communications plan, a messaging plan where we can communicate with as many voters as we can, we're going to win these seats and we're going to change Congress.
Yeah. Yeah, because Charles came very close, and Charles Booker and Kentucky folks. And I mean, it was almost like a time thing. You know, if he could have gotten out there a little bit earlier, or at least been heard about, because again, you're right, it's the messaging, it's the name recognition. You know, people call me all the time, I want to run for office. And I said, well, you realize it's not an emotion, it's a science. And that's what you're saying. I mean, there's actually a real science. That's why it's called political science. And then speaking of up and down the ballot, people call me up and say, I want to run for Senate. I was like, well, maybe you're not ready for Senate. Just, you know, you can start somewhere else. So everybody just can't leap to the U.S. Senate. So this is important, I think, what you're doing to help people get to this place. And, you know, Nabilah, too, there's always attrition. I remember when there were blue dogs, when Obama was first in office. They're pretty much gone. So now we have moderates and now we have progressives. Pretty soon, that parity and then that progressive majority, I think, will be in place. I think it's a matter of a short period of time, don't you?
Oh, I think so for sure. I think for a lot, I was reading an article the other day, and I think it makes sense to me where a lot of these incumbents are realizing that they don't want to be primaried from the left. And so they're going to start to speak up for their communities in a bolder way. And hopefully just be more bold and be more progressive. So I still think they'll probably get challengers because where were you, yesterday? So, but there's a shift, and there's a shift towards progressive ideals. And so I'm very hopeful that attrition will happen and we'll have more progressives in Congress and that they will be the majority.
Indeed. Folks, the progressive list is the next project Nabilah is working on. We invite you to go to progressivelist.org. This is a PAC. Small dollar donations are welcome, correct? Right. And that's one of the great things about a progressive movement, folks. Progressives ain't always hitting us up for $1,000 a month. So people ought to welcome that as well. Small dollar donations to help build these progressive candidates from now, November on into the future. You, though, I'm sure the bug is still bitten you. You going to run again?
I will. Maybe. I think I learned a lot on my first race, and you know what they say. You don't win. A lot of people don't win the first time; they win their second time. So we'll see.
Okay. Well, good luck to you, folks. Again, we invite you to go to progressivelist.org. Get involved. Nabilah is going to be helping with these campaigns and supporting these candidates, and it'll be a good place to keep up with all of the progressive candidates that are running, as a matter of fact, up and down the ballot. We have to, it's important. Some of us think still all I need to do is vote for president. No, you need to vote for Senate, you need to vote for House, you need to vote for down ballot state legislature. As we talk about the census and redistricting, all of these seats are important, and we want to make sure that there are progressives in each and every one of these seats. So, Nabilah, good to talk to you. Keep up the great work. I know you're going to stay involved in your community, and glad that you're going to stay involved in this progressive political movement and lead it as well. We need you and women like you. Who's your favorite for vice president? Who do you think should be the VP, Nabilah?
Barbara Lee, of course.
Really? It's funny. I had a conversation with a very prominent African-American politician the other day. I won't mention her name. She wouldn't want me to do that. But she was saying we should have an even broader list of Black women candidates. I mean, they've narrowed it down to 3 or 4, but why not broaden the list even more? And I said, that's a good point. Who decides when the list, is cut off? So it's gonna be interesting. And we look forward to seeing and hearing more great things from you. I hope you do run again. You should. We need Nabilah Islam in Congress or in the Senate or something like that, I think. Okay?
Sounds good to me.
All right, folks. Again, progressivelist.org. Nabilah, thank you so much, okay?
All right, no, thank you for having me on today.
All right, always a pleasure. All right.
God, you are our refuge. Send our ancestors to guard our doors. Cast out this virus from our communities and our bodies. Heal, bless, and protect everyone listening and their loved ones. Thank you for listening to Make It Plain and Get Woke. Remember to listen, like, and subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and wherever you get your podcasts. If all minds are clear, it has been made plain.